Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Hello, everyone. This is Robin Owens, and I am here today with Marisa Santoro. Marisa is the CEO and founder of In Our Shoes. It's a leadership and training and coaching practice, and she founded the Gutsy Leadership Academy. Marisa is a former Wall Street executive where she learned from experience that the key to leadership success is self-trust. And exciting news, she has a new book out called Own Your Authority. Follow your instincts, radiate confidence, and communicate as a leader people trust. In the book, she shares her hard-won secrets to being a resilient leader. And she lays out a step-by-step blueprint for building the confidence you need at any stage of your career. Whether you are an executive, a mid-career senior professional, an emerging leader, or consultant, it's for you. Welcome, Marisa Santoro. All right, Marisa, let's just jump right in. Tell us a little more about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, Robin, I'm really excited to be here. First of all, thank you so much. So my name is Marisa Santoro, and I am former tech executive. I was in the corporate world for about 20 years, and today I do career coaching. I run a leadership training and career coaching practice called In Our Shoes and a school called Gutsy Leadership Academy.
That sounds great. I already want to ask 10 more questions about that, but let me just stick with the one that I had in mind. So tell us what you enjoy most about your work and why.
Well, I really, really love pushing people past their limits. You know, I'm all about love, but I'm also a bit about tough love. So I guess you could say my mission in life is to give professionals gutsy challenges. I really just enjoy, asking people to step into that discomfort, which is usually, if you look back at any area of your life, it's usually rooted in some level of fear. The three major fears, primary fears as humans is fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish, and fear of failure. So what I really love is just, nudging professionals to go into that territory and tap into what they know that they really should be acting on, their intuition, their gut, or what I also call, their gutsy guidance system, their GGS. That's what lights me up.
I love that. GGS, Gutsy Guidance System. I love it. All right. So now it sounds like you have a lot of experience and expertise in helping people following their gut, so to speak. What helpful hint or advice would you give to the women listening today who are probably high achieving women leaders? What would you say to them?
Well, you might say it's because I come from tech. It's a technical solution in one hand, and it's also a leadership solution. So I actually encourage people to do whatever it takes, whether you're using technology, your phone, or what have you, and to set a little alarm. Eventually it could be a mental trigger, but really wake up every day being willing to be uncomfortable and to make a gutsy move, which is really just taking small leaps of faith in your life where, there is that fear, and just being committed to taking those small leaps in any area, whether that be, maybe calling someone that you need to call, but you've heard radio silence. And so the radio silence has created a story in your mind that they're not interested in you, or the answer is no, right? In my world, no equals next. So, if you really wake up every day with that, intention to just be willing to set that little alarm that says, how am I going gutsy today? Or even at night, some of the professionals I work with do it at night. They have a little trigger that says, how did I go gutsy today? So especially as a woman, just so many factors that we experience that men don't. Imposter syndrome, this false belief that we don't deserve happiness and success. There's just certain things that they may exist in men, but they're very much present in women. And just making that one commitment to yourself, big or small, just, could be even, for me, even with my children, if I'm not really parenting and doing the right discipline techniques that I should be, that means I'm probably, a little bit more of a weaker parent that day. And I have to set some ground rules and get back on track to make them, understand that, there's certain policies in our home and to help them grow. So it doesn't have to only apply to the career, but of course, as women, we're also parents, we're partners, we're professionals. So just be willing to make that commitment of just making some small leap of a low-level risk, because those little low-level risks that you take even in a week, you'll look back and you'll grow so much. Gutsy leadership is growth.
Yes, yes. Gutsy leadership. And taking those, I like that you give us something that we could do today. We can actually start this tonight, no matter who's listening. Tonight, we can make a gutsy move, right? And decide what we're going to do. And, I'm already thinking about, for me, what I will do. I will make a gutsy move based on your encouragement today. So I love that advice.
I love that. And I'd love to hear what that is. But, while we're on the subject, I'm really curious, what have you done in your life that you felt you followed your intuition, you followed your gut in spite of the external noise? Because that's what really makes the gutsy move. It has to be in spite of what's around you, in spite of the five senses. I'm sure the listeners would love to hear what gutsy move you've made that really worked out and you've appreciated in your life.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 that comes to top of mind, but I'll tell you the first one, which started years ago. I mean, I feel like I kind of live in this gutsy mode, which is why I love the work that you're doing. But you can always do more. Like I say, I'm going to plan one for tonight to do tomorrow. But the one that kind of put me on the path to where I am now, years ago, when I started my first professional career, I was in banking. Now, I was young, just out of college, and I was in a position where I'm managing a branch in a bank. Back when, before all this automation and lots of things that mostly people spent their time going to a branch of a bank. And so it was my job to manage about 15 tellers and maybe 5 or 6 customer service reps. And here I am, young in my mid-20s. And my family, this was in Connecticut where I grew up. I was born and raised in Connecticut. And so, kind of mid-sized town. For me to get a job at the big bank downtown, this was something. And to be a manager in the eyes of my family and my friends, this was the thing you go to college for. This was wonderful. However, for me, it was completely unfulfilling. It was not who I was. It was a quote, unquote, good job. It clicked off all the boxes of what made me successful, especially at that time, being that age, supervising people who were older than I was. I made it. But to me, it went against everything and who I was as a person. Now, there's nothing wrong with banking. It's a wonderful position to have. But for me, it just went against who I was. And so I was very unfulfilled and unhappy. And as a result, started getting headaches and even nosebleed. So one day I went on my lunch break outside. I went outside and sat in the car and just had some quiet to myself. And I asked myself, if I could do anything, what would I do? Instantly, it came to me, I would leave this job and I would get a job that makes a difference in other people's lives. So now I'm in my 20s, so I'm living with my parents still. So I go home and I tell my mother, this is what I want to do. And it was just unheard of because from her generation, she worked in a job for 35 years and she hated the job. So she couldn't understand why would you want to leave? And her words were, people don't leave good jobs. And so it was just unheard of. So that, the family and the expectations, I knew that they were proud of me and that's what they wanted me to do. But I had to follow my gut because my first instinct was this was not the place for me to make a difference. It could be, but because it wasn't so in alignment with me, I went to the supervisor that I was reporting to and I said to her, I'm submitting my resignation. I didn't have a plan, because when you're young like that and living at home, you can do a little bit without the plan. But still, I said, I'm going to make a difference in other people's lives. And that was the reason why I resigned. But it all happened from that moment in the car on my lunch break in quiet, because that was just an intuitive. That was a gutsy move to leave that job, knowing that people were honoring me in a way in the family and friends because of they thought this was, success. I didn't go with the expectations. I went with my gut, had no idea what that was or what it would be.
Wow, I love that. And I also love that you were so young and you found that discovery for yourself because, I mean, look at me. I was in, not that I regret financial services, but I waited 20 years. After 20 years, I decided to leave. And I had that aha moment. We all, I have a name for these in my world. We call them divine downloads.
Yeah.
And when you have that, it just hits you. There's one thing that you said, Robin, that really, for your listeners, if you really want to perfect the system that Robin described, the one thing that she said was, you asked yourself a question and then the answer came, but you couldn't get the answer without asking the question. And so I think a lot of times we're not sure what questions we should be asking. But once you actually sat down in your car and asked the question, then boom, the answer came. There's always an answer. Right. So that's a key part that I forgot about as part of like the success method to
this. Yeah. Asking a question is very important. You're right. And I don't know, I think that was intuition that I even knew to ask a question, but I did ask that question. And now all these years later, I've been doing that. I've only been doing work that I think makes a difference.
Yeah. And your parents as well, the older generation, we have to love them and appreciate them. But, just having food on the table, I come from an immigrant family. So I totally understand, having stability, good job, staying there 30 years, don't ever leave. I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure always to share my story. All right. And so now, I say I've been doing this work with making a difference in various ways across the years. But currently, I'm doing work around what I call leadership purpose. So when I say leadership purpose, what comes to your mind?
Well, you know what? I really leaned into my gut when I learned more about what you did. And the first thing that came to my mind was the word why. I translate purpose to your why. I believe, and it's fundamental to what I coach on. It's, what makes you tick, what lights you up, what rubs you the wrong way in certain situations so you can get closer to your why and what you're meant to do in this world. So I think that, without that guidance system, right, the Gutsy guidance system, and it also refers to this, but without purpose, without the why, even as a leader in business, right, how can you explain to your team or to your boss or to your business partners, we're doing this project and we're going to get it done in 12 months or 6 months? You can't have that conversation without explaining why. You have to sell them on the purpose of what you're doing. And then once you sell, and I mean that, loosely, I don't believe in, not a marketer, but there is a level of marketing in business, right? It's selling yourself, selling your ideas. So if you can't lead with purpose as a leader in business, then, you can't explain and even define the what, which are the goals and the projects. And then without the what, then you're definitely not going to have an action plan or strategy in place because that's the how. So, purpose is everything. It's the why of what we do, and it has to come before everything. So I absolutely love talking about this, and it's really fundamental to us as humans.
Yes, fundamental. I like that. And so is that where it's value because it's fundamental, or are there other reasons why you can think of it's important to know or be guided by your leadership purpose? Why is it important?
Oh no. Yeah, no, I think there are definitely other areas. It's what determines what you decide to do, whether the hobbies that you pick up, the books that you read, the movies that you watch, the friends and relationships you make. I mean, I believe all of those are tied to your purpose. I fundamentally believe we're here to serve in this world. And, we're some of us are just figuring that out. That story you told, you got clear on your purpose very early on in your 20s, right? So I think that purpose is inside everything you do, from, drinking a glass of water. I want to stay healthy. I want to be hydrated. I want to have energy for the rest of the day. That's my purpose, to serve. And, whether you're doing a podcast today, right, or opening the mail, everything that we do in life has a purpose, from the most menial things to, those grand achievements that we all can achieve. But it is fundamental, but it's in everything as well, just as, daily life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And you mentioned that when I mentioned the story, I didn't actually find my purpose then, but that set me on the path to find it. And I learned along the way from that experience what worked for me and what didn't work for me, and how to make later what I call purpose-based decisions. So then I could always be in alignment with my leadership purpose. But that's over a whole lifetime, it seems. Yeah.
True. Little signs along the way. It's like course correcting, we go this way and then we course correct, get back on the path. But that's because there's a greater purpose right out there.
Yeah.
So it's like a gravitational pull.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Okay. All right. So I'm just enjoying this conversation. I can go on for hours and hours, but I know you and others probably don't have hours and hours to listen to this. But there might be somebody listening who would like to hear more from you, or hear more about what you do, or help with making their own gutsy moves in their gutsy leadership. How can they be in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on In Our Shoes' website. That's inourshoes.com, and check out or Gutsy Leadership Academy. And I have a book coming out in April called Own Your Authority. So that'll also be out, I guess in a few months from now. I can't believe we're already in 2021. I was going to say it's going to be out next year, but actually, so either the In Our Shoes website or the book, Own Your Authority.
Okay. In Our Shoes. I like that. All right. And I'm sure that book is a fascinating read. I can't wait to get it myself.
Thank you, Robin. I do cover purpose in there, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at so many things that we talked, or I know you stand for. Hopefully I've done a good enough job in covering. But I think that, in everything that we do, whether we're coaches or whatever, teachers, we're really guiding others. And sometimes we don't know what we don't know yet, but it just unravels eventually when you ask the right questions.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, thank you, Marisa. This has been a joy to have this conversation with you. And I'm so glad that we had this opportunity. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.